Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a marriage Q&A. I surveyed you guys over on Instagram if you had any questions for myself and my husband, Jake. If you're new to my channel, he'll randomly make appearances for you guys. But I posted about our 13-year wedding anniversary, and a lot of you guys had questions on just like our relationship and our history, and the more that I've shared with you guys and the more vulnerable that I've been, like sharing different aspects of our relationship, I feel like it's prompted a lot of questions from you guys. So I got all the questions off of Instagram. I have them here on my phone, and we are going to take turns answering them. Neither one of us have looked over the questions, so you guys are going to get our honest and just off the cuff answers. We'll go in opposition, so I'll answer one, you'll answer one. But before we get into the Q&A, I want to thank Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. One of you guys, Forging Foundations, actually, she's one of my friends. I met her at the convention that I went to in the summer. She asked, what hobbies do we each keep to ourselves, like to maintain our individuality in our relationship? And so I thought that this was the perfect answer and the perfect tie-in with Skillshare. So if you guys are not familiar with Skillshare, Skillshare is an online teaching community where you can take countless classes and even, you know, go on there and teach. And it is just such a good way to keep some individuality for yourself, which I believe is an important part of marriage. Wouldn't you agree? Mm-hmm. To maintain some of your individual interests. So I do things like that all of the time just to keep up my creative side. And like I shared with you guys in a recent video, I've been trying to keep houseplants alive, and there are a whole host of houseplant videos on there that I have been fine-tuning my skills, and all my plants are living, so it's done really well. But there's classes on creative writing, photography, all different types of things that you might find interesting or your spouse might find interesting. So if you guys want to check out the links down below, you can get 2 free months of Skillshare Premium, where you can just try it for free and see if you like it. But I think doing things like that is very important for your marriage and the longevity of your marriage the longer you are together. So thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. And now we will get into the Q&A. Ready?
Sounds good.
We're gonna start with you first, okay?
All right.
Raquel, these are all on Instagram, so if you're not following me over there, this is where I get my Q&A questions. Raquel asks, what was our toughest year in marriage thus far?
The very toughest year?
Mm-hmm.
Probably the 10-year mark. It seemed like the toughest challenge. Nothing specific, I guess.
So 10 years would have been in 2016. So what was happening in 2016? Olivia was 5.
Yeah, I just feel like we had like maybe like more of a, we weren't on the same page, and so like the 10-year mark was like the, you know, we're past the grinding phase of the raising the kids and the children, but then like we'd like find ways to like more reconnect versus just teaming up to survive with the kids. But like we had like reestablished, like I guess seek each other out again to like reconnect, you know. But like there was like a 6-month period where we weren't on the same page, and we were like constantly like getting on each other's nerves and stuff. But then like that you know, at the Bible study with the group kind of like reconnected us. Like it was like a boiling point over like emotions revealed and stuff.
I don't remember that.
I guess it wasn't that rough for you.
I remember other things, but we said we were gonna do these questions in opposition. So so that's his answer for the toughest year of marriage yet. Jam BMG347 says, what do you love and admire about each other? And then congratulations on our anniversary. So thank you so much. We'll both answer this. What do I love most about him? His sense of humor. It's very, very important to me to laugh, and you do a really good job of making me laugh continually. And something that I admire about him is that he's very like go with the flow, and I'm not. So it's a good balance. But I just admire his ability to like not let little things, I mean, he has his things, but most of the time little stuff doesn't really bother you. What about me?
Thanks, honey. No, I enjoy
enjoy, it says admire.
Okay, admire. Oops, that minimizes it.
I enjoy. I don't know where you're going with that.
She's pretty much like everything I'm not good at. Like, she's very independent. She doesn't go what everyone else is doing. She's a non-conformist. Like, she's confident in herself.
I'm a rebel.
There's like no excuses. She's adventurous, but I'm not. Like,
so you admire all of my strengths that are not yours?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have many weaknesses, but
you love them though,
mm-hmm.
Because sometimes you hate them when I force you to adventure with me.
Yeah, you force me out of my comfort zone, but I always am happy at the end of it.
This is true.
You know,
much like our Yosemite trip.
Yep.
Okay, the next one. So whose turn is it? Your turn. How did we meet?
We met
short version.
At a gym. At my, I was living with my dad.
Give them a little time frame.
I was in college for the summer, living with my dad.
Back here, where we live for the summer.
And then he was a member of the country club gym, and she was teaching classes. And she also got like a free gym membership because of teaching there. So then the little instructor caught my eye.
Okay, that was from, these names get really hard. Turkhart Tribe of Five. BNS, I don't know this one either. BNSWNSN. I don't know. She says, everyone says marriage is compromise. Agree or disagree? Agree. I agree. And then she typed more, but it cut it off. I think that marriage is 100% compromise on a daily basis. So I hope that answers your question. Charisma Masters 5 asked, how did you make time for each other when all of our kids were young?
We had to accept that we couldn't just go out on dates that we wanted to. So we got creative and we bought a fire pit, and like it just forced, once bedtime hit, it just forced us to go outside. And
strict bedtime.
Yeah, strict bedtimes, 8 o'clock on the money, no ifs, ands, or buts. Mm-hmm. And then just crack open a bottle of wine and start the fire, and no TV, no phones, no distractions, just be able to like reconnect. Like, I mean, not every day, but once a week on a Saturday night or...
Yeah, and we would utilize things like when they were little and they were all like toddlers and we'd take them to the park, you know, we would try to be intentional about like sitting off to the side and talking versus like chasing the kids around. Of course, we were watching them, but like we were focused on that. And even little things like grabbing a coffee on your way to church and sitting in your car and just talking, or going for a drive, like if your kids are super crazy. So we just tried to find things where we could talk because with so many little kids, there was always distractions. So I feel like doing things like that.
Yeah, and sometimes going out, you don't get to talk as much as you want to. Like if you're at the dinner, you don't really... Yeah. There's constant interruptions and...
Right.
You know, so the fire pit's nice because it just goes on for as long as we want it to.
Yeah, we just found ways and pockets of time within like everyday life to try to stay connected to each other. Someone else asked, how did we meet? He already said that. Then this one right here, I'm gonna not read the names of the questions because it's just getting too hard. This one says, at the end of this is my question. At the end of right? Because you answered that.
Yeah.
One. Okay. At the end of the day, how do you get over being exhausted and have energy for intimacy? So that is a real
that's a personal question.
That's a real personal question, but I said I would answer them all. So my truthful answer is like, my needs in that department are very different than his needs in that department, and I recognize that. And sometimes you just have to do things that you're not initially like wanting to do. And it's not because you don't find your husband like attractive or amazing or anything like that, but it just is like, for women, I'm speaking for myself. For me, I am so tired some days, like mentally, I just don't have the energy to get my brain headed that direction. And for me, it starts in my brain. It's not just like a physical thing, which for men, it's usually kind of opposite. So when I'm really tired or really worn out, it takes a lot of mental energy for me to like get myself into that place. And we have open communication about this. None of this is a secret to him. He knows all of this. So sometimes that's really hard for me. But once the wheel is in motion, let's just say, it's easier. So it's that initial like, I'm so tired, and then once the process is moving or headed that direction, it's better. And then you're like, okay, I can do this. So it's the whole like buildup of it. Like, because men, or him at least, is usually, you know, that's like a top 3 thing on their brain. Maybe number 1 every single day. And for me, it's just not. And I know some women are like super sexual, and I really wish I was one of those women, but I'm not. So if you have vitamin suggestions or something, like, send them my way. Someone said something like horny goat weed.
Horny goat weed? You can't even make that up.
Someone told me that. Is that a lie?
It's probably a drug.
So anyways, we make time for it. I mean, I would never take it to the degree of like writing it in my Erin Condren planner, like sex with husband 5 p.m. Like, I'm not going to get on that level, because there does need to be some like spontaneity to it. But just knowing like that it needs to be a regular thing, and just, you know, trying to just get over the initial like, I'm so tired type of thing.
Remember that compromise question?
Yeah. But it's truly not because like I'm not attracted to my husband or anything. It's just because I'm really tired, and it's hard, like you said, like your energy. So anyways, that was a long answer, but basically what I'm telling you to do is to just not think about how tired you are, and just kind of, you're trying to read the questions.
Well, I was rereading the same question.
And just go with it. Go with it. Okay. She also said naps are not an option. We don't nap here. Okay. Someone says, how have we maintained communication closeness when life gets super busy? Are you good at that?
I am not, but you're really good at it. But what's that app that you make me do now? Marco Polo?
Yes, I make him Marco Polo me.
Yeah, just text, being available throughout the day for you to call me, and I can easily get distracted and not communicate all day, and then I forget, like, oh, it's been 8 hours, I haven't heard anything from you. Mm-hmm. So I had to make like a conscious effort. But I think we had a hash out like a few years ago about that. Like, I wasn't putting any effort in like communicating with you. So,
and I'm a really good communicator. So to me, when he's not communicating, that like signals to me that he's like not interested, and he doesn't care, and he's only thinking about himself.
Which is true.
So that gets kind of annoying. So I think every relationship has a good communicator. It's not always going to be both of you. And I am the better communicator, so I have to kind of like force him sometimes into like communication with me. Like, sit down, like, I sometimes literally have to say, can I have your full attention? Like, I need to talk to you, and I need you to like hear what I'm telling you.
Yeah, so. She values constant communication, so I have to like take that into consideration. It just can't be all about me and how I want to communicate. So if she feels value in it, I gotta like step up the game a little bit to make a conscious effort.
Yes.
So it does take work and energy, but
intentionality.
It's worth it. Like, no excuses.
The next one says, has he, meaning you, always supported my decision to homeschool, or did I have to convince him? We talked about this in our homeschool dad Q&A, but I never had to convince him. I was definitely the one that felt like the call placed on my heart, and I shared it with him, and at first he was kind of like a little like hesitant, like just not really sure what it was gonna look like. But I never had to convince him because I think he trusts my judgment as a mom. And so we just kind of went with it.
Yeah, I felt like it would be selfish of me to like force her to do it. Like she had to be the one to like pull the trigger. Because if I solely believed in homeschool, like I can't force her to do it. Like that'd be unrealistic.
Yeah, like he means like if I wasn't interested in doing that, even if he felt like it was the best thing, he wasn't going to tell me that I had to homeschool the kids. So, but he always been supportive, and now 5 years later, we're both pretty locked in. Another person says, do we have any podcasts that we would recommend for money, budget, or sex issues?
I only know fantasy football podcasts.
Yeah, we're not big podcast listeners.
I stream a lot of stuff.
There's what's that app you do? Right Now Media.
Right Now Media app is great for like small group Bible. Small group like Bible, biblical aspects. There's, endless stuff. But there's one of the most, I don't want to say impactful, one I enjoyed the most on that one was like a thing geared for men about sex. Like in sex.
Do you remember who that was?
No, but you could like post it on Instagram or something. Maybe it was, I forget the name.
On Right Now Media?
Yeah, it was. But this guy, he's really popular. He has like a lot of books and stuff. I can't remember his name.
For sex addiction in men.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just
like
the different kinds
like
of...
a realistic expectation of what...
Christianity and
how
that's supposed to look. Yeah, I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, it's really good. It's pretty lengthy. It's like 30 episodes, but... If
he looks it up, I'll try to post who it was down in the description box. So if your husband is struggling with any of that, you can check it out. The next one says... congrats, thank you. You guys seem so sweet, such a great family. How do we keep the spark? I don't know. The spark changes. It's not the same spark as when you're all like new and exciting. So it's different. And the way that I keep that kind of going is good communication for sure, and just doing things we enjoy, and just never like focusing on not really taking each other for granted, because a lot of people just fall into complacency because we've been married for 13 years, been together for 15 years, so it's very easy to just feel like that person is always there, but we all know that that could not always be the case. So I feel like when you think of those things on your own, that it helps keep the spark. I don't know, like
you're a different person.
But like if we're talking about like the spark, like the sex spark, like you just, he's still attractive. I think he finds me still attractive. So there's like certain things, like exercising and taking care of yourself that help keep the sex spark alive.
The more connected you are, and the less distant, the more spark there is.
The more sex there is. That's what he's saying.
Well, okay.
Yeah, so that's...
And realistic expectations.
Yes. Okay, this one's for you. What is your all-time favorite memory together?
Oh, man. Like, all-time favorite memory together?
Mm-hmm.
We've been married for 13 years. There's kind of a lot of them that stand out.
Just pick the very first one.
Oh, my gosh. I have a short-term memory, so like when I really enjoyed like The Good and the Beautiful that weekend. conference.
That was your all-time favorite memory?
No, but I'm like the most recent because like I don't know, it was just a really fun opportunity being together, like this unique opportunity, and like no distraction with the kids, and we were there for you. It wasn't for me, you know. Like usually it's my work accolades or something like that. So it was like a really a great experience together. But like even when we were on vacation hiking in the mountains, like you look out at this vast landscape and like there's my beautiful wife and my kids, like you just kind of take in the moment. Like, man, it's been 13 years. Life is great. Like we're here together, you know. So there's a lot of them, you know. Like, but
those are some good recent ones.
Yeah, but like
I agree.
Vivid memories of taking Kylie home for the first time, like in our white 4Runner for our first child, and it's raining outside. Like it's a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, so you enjoy those moments that just stand out. Like now I'm not talking about like pinnacle, like awe-inspiring, but these little subtle like life-changing moments that I think about.
It's true. The next one is, what flavor wedding cake did we have? Do you even know?
No.
I don't remember.
No, I don't remember at all.
Sorry, I honestly don't.
Yeah.
Was it red velvet?
No.
Was it chocolate?
It went up my nose. It smelled good.
I think it was chocolate
yeah,
with
I
like
think
a
so.
buttercream or something, because I'm thinking of the pictures.
But back then cakes weren't as good.
Yeah.
So we didn't like really enjoy it.
No.
Sorry,
okay.
whoever made it.
The next one, since I didn't really answer that, says, have you guys ever been in a rough season and how did we get out? Yeah, we've been in a rough season, probably more than one.
Yeah, for sure.
And some days you just really stick out the times because you made the commitment. Like that's just the honest truth. Like there have definitely been periods of time in our marriage that have tested our commitment to each other and our commitment to God and our commitment to our kids and our families. And there have been times where feelings, if we would have been led by feelings, I think we would have separated for a while, but we would have ultimately regretted that if we would have followed feelings, because here we are 13 years, 15 years later, and we would be missing out on all those things he was just talking about if we would have been led by feelings. But we have definitely been through a lot of stuff as a couple, and sometimes when you're in that, you really are just there praying for restoration and just there because you made a vow to God that you would be, and that is what keeps you anchored. So how did we get out? Communication about whatever the issue was, time, like space to feel how we were feeling, how he was feeling and how I was feeling, and being able to be honest with each other, like completely honest about some different things, and time and prayer, really. That's what I would say. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, every marriage is going to have rough seasons, but that's what they are. They're just seasons that are eventually going to pass.
It doesn't last forever.
But like, we were both so adamant, like we're not ever going to give up. Like, yeah, we committed, we vowed, and sometimes those little things that keep moving forward. Like, I'm not going to be a statistic, but we've never crossed the line where there was like the non-negotiables were broken.
Yeah, like non-negotiables in our marriage is like unfaithfulness.
Yeah, it's never been like,
yeah, that.
I guess, and nothing was violated to where like you have to leave or whatever. It's more like, how do two people grow at the same time and someone's like at different levels and spaces?
Well, I mean, trust
stuff.
and stuff like that was kind of fractured at one point.
I don't remember.
But yeah, that's how we got through it. But yeah, definitely some rough seasons. What was the wedding theme and the colors? Let's have him answer this one. See if he remembers.
There's so much that went wrong with the wedding. I remember there were supposed to be sunflowers there.
There were supposed to be sunflowers. They never arrived. So I had grocery store roses.
Yeah, from, gosh, some random grocery store.
Albertsons.
Was it purple? I don't know. No, they were green.
It was brown and like sage
they were
green.
Yes.
See, I've always loved nature. But now weddings are so much cuter thanks to Pinterest. It's ridiculous.
We were on the cusp. Like we missed all the cool stuff.
Yeah,
like,
it was not cool.
Baby stuff's even better now.
Yeah,
Kids'
everything's
rooms,
better.
Yeah. Jeez.
Okay.
Pre-iPhone.
Some of these are repetitive, so like I'm not going to answer them again. Like our favorite things about each other. How do we keep the spark alive? What did we do on our first anniversary? We had a baby. We had a newborn. So I don't even know what we did, but it wasn't anything super important. Do you remember?
No, that was a long time ago.
Yeah. Okay, the next one says, do you do Bible studies or read books together? If so, what is your latest? I would love to do that. This is something I am constantly telling him I want to do, and he does not want to do it with me. So we don't read books together. I wish we did.
Before,
we
though.
have in the past, like twice.
Francis Chan.
Marriage in Light of Eternity. That was a
great book. You know, and we did the
Marriage in Light of Eternity.
There was like a his book and a her book.
Yeah. Okay, sorry guys. I think the memory card got full. So we're gonna keep going. We had a lot of questions. Okay, so someone else said congratulations. Thank you. It says, my Jake and I just hit year 14. What is your biggest dream vacation with and without the kids?
Ooh.
So with the kids, we want to see as much of the United States as we can with them, and that's actually a really big priority to us. So we were just talking about this yesterday with my brother. So with the kids, we want to go to the Oregon coast, we want to go to New York City, we want to take them to Washington DC, and we want to go to Hawaii. So those are like our 4 big trips with them after this year.
Make it happen.
And for him and I think like Europe together, like in the future, would probably be it for us. Yeah,
it'd be awesome.
Someone says, were we both on the same page when it came to getting out of debt and how to do it?
Yes. We both did not like having debt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's definitely more like no, and I'm like, it's okay, like, well, it's fine, you know. So I mean, I feel like we both didn't want to be in debt, and we both were willing to like take the sacrifice of what it was going to take to get out of it.
And we're pretty conservative on spending money anyway.
Right. And now we're both petrified of ever being in debt again. That we
learned the hard way.
Yeah, we learned the hard way. Here, scoot back a little so your head isn't cut off in the frame. See how your head's cut off?
That's all.
Okay. Someone says, do we engage in healthy conflict? And if so, how do you fight fair, basically?
Is conflict healthy?
Yes, conflict is healthy. I think we do. I think there's definitely times that we're both pretty angry and we say things we don't mean, or things that we know we're saying just to hurt the other person intentionally. But that is very few and far between. We do not, like, we get in like little disagreements, like, oh my gosh, you're annoying, or stuff like that, but not like big fights. We don't really like fight. No. It's
once a year maybe.
Yeah, once a year we have like a good
knuckle draw
where we're not talking for a few days.
Usually it's started when we're both tired. Mm-hmm. So maybe some stressful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just one of us being really stubborn. Yeah. And then the person that's the stubborn one ends up having to come and apologize anyways. So it's just like, might as well get this over with.
Yeah.
And so we've gotten better about that. But yeah, we try not to go for blood when we disagree. And how do we do that? Well, we communicate, we tell each other what we're thinking. And if we disagree with the other person, then we'll let them know that. And then we'll just kind of not like, sometimes you're just not going to get your spouse to see things your way, and it's just pointless to try. So it's just maturity and age where it's like, I'm not going to fight with you over that.
Yeah.
Do you? And then we just have a little space. Quite honestly, that's kind of how we handle things. Someone said, I know there are issues with extended family. How do you deal with it gracefully? I'll let you answer that.
How to get the hard one?
In a short thing.
Setting up boundaries, even though it's uncomfortable and awkward, and you're probably gonna the relationship will probably be always changed, but boundaries are good, you know. I guess, and that's a hard question. Can you reread it for me?
How do we handle issues with extended family gracefully? We love them anyway.
Yeah, you love them.
You can love them and also not have a close relationship with them because you know that they're not a healthy person mentally, emotionally, or spiritually.
Once the boundaries are set, it's easier to deal with because that's just the way you deal with it. But typically, when there are issues with outside family members, they don't like boundaries.
Right.
So
they don't want to accept the boundary.
Yeah, the relationship's just gonna have to change. You know.
Okay.
But typically, limited time, and then like, say if you see them too, you know, like a lot of family events, and if too frequently, like just take some time off. Maybe not go to that one kid's birthday.
Yeah. The next question is, have you ever had to be the spiritual leader for your family? And if so, how? I don't feel like I can. This question kind of was like touching to me, because I think for a while I was the spiritual leader of our family, because I was the one, I didn't like say the prayer with him, like lead him to Christ, but I was the one who even like brought him into church, and just like started working on his heart and stuff like that. So I definitely feel like there's been times in our marriage, and I think you would agree, which is why I'm okay with saying this, that I've been more surrendered in my walk with the Lord, or more just a few steps ahead in certain areas. And so I do feel like I've kind of led a little bit in that way, or done things out of like faith and obedience that he wasn't ready to like to do. And so I think the best thing you can do is to just follow what God places on your heart, and know that your spouse will watch, will see, will catch up, and that sometimes, you know, God uses you to help your husband, and that's okay too. I think because we read the Bible and it's all about like the male being the spiritual leader of the household, that is definitely true because it's God's word, and his word is always true. But sometimes that happens later. Like, it's now there's certain things that he does that I do not do. Like when we pray as a family, like I let him always do that because I want him to step into that leader role. But if you have a spouse that doesn't naturally lead, then it's hard. That's kind of been a struggle for us, but I feel like it's
I'm a stubborn child, so it takes me a while to grow and step outside my comfort zone. Like it's uncomfortable, I don't want to do this, you know. But part of your personality, it does force me out of that comfort zone. Like going back to the very first question, I don't say like demand, but like you're just not gonna let me sit and do like just be static quo. If you know it's a good thing, you're gonna like press me to to take that step too and grow. And
And
and I'm
sometimes
grateful for it, because I want to be my own routine. I'm comfortable. Life's easy right now, you know. But yeah, you press me to grow more as a husband.
And sometimes he's very resistant.
Yeah, I don't like change. I want to think that I'm perfect all the time. You know.
Someone said, what is the biggest issue we've struggled with, and how have we overcome it as a couple?
That's probably different for both of us.
What's your...
I don't know. My biggest struggle as a couple?
No, just you personally, and how did we overcome it?
I don't know. Either I don't know, I don't want to answer. Sorry.
I don't know. The biggest issue as a couple, like, I'm not gonna go into all that if he doesn't want to go into it.
No, I don't want to.
But different things like miscarriage and loss was really hard on me personally, because he didn't really understand it, and it wasn't, social media wasn't what it is now, where women were talking about their miscarriages and their losses. And I didn't actually really have any friends at that point, because I was so young and had so many kids, and like had completely turned my life around, that I lost like all of my old like friends. And so when I went through that, I was all alone, and you guys know that I don't have a relationship with my mom, and so I didn't really have anyone to talk that through with, and he didn't even like understand the magnitude of it. And so that was pretty hard, and I just I don't even honestly know how I got through it, but that was pretty tough. So we overcame it as a couple, I think, by just sticking together, and just sometimes you just do the best you can do, and that just has to be enough. Looking back, if those situations were happening right now, it would be an entirely different reaction and ball game, just because of maturity and growth. But if we didn't go through that when we went through it at the ages we were at, and at the season of marriage we were in, then we also wouldn't be as mature in our marriage as we are now. So it's like a blessing and a curse. But yeah, that's probably what I would say. Someone else said, who is usually the first one to apologize?
Me?
That's because he does most things wrong.
For sure. Yeah.
Someone says, how do we keep God in our marriage beyond just living a Christian life? I'll answer this. God is the forefront of my mind. It's the forefront of his mind. It is the motivation behind every single thing that we do, is to live a life that glorifies him. And so all of our decisions in our marriage, and the way that we speak of one another to friends, and the way we conduct ourselves with different things, like we don't go out separately to like bars or questionable environments. We just don't do that. So things like that we do because of keeping God in our marriage as like number one. So I feel like everything we do, we try to glorify him through our relationship. And are we perfect? No. Do we mess up? Yes. But once you have certain like hard lines, like we're not doing this, we're not doing that, then it's easier. So that's how we do it. And you know, obviously going to church, and just really our whole life is modeled by him. And some people would disagree with some of the things we do, but others would think we do too much. So it's just about following your own convictions. But like language and music and movies and different things that couples might partake in that we do not, like there's just a lot of things that God is numero uno, and everything else follows behind that. Do you agree? Let's see, we're almost to the end, guys. If we could go back and give ourselves any advice to help our future marriage, what would it be?
It's not that serious.
I would say
there's bigger stuff going on, or you're not the most important person in the world. Not like you, but like me. Like
to yourself, you'd say that.
Like it's not all about your needs, and like she's allowed to have feelings and struggles even if you don't understand them. You know.
I would say remember that you're on the same team. Like you're, even when you feel like sometimes you're up against one another, you're never really up against one another. So remember that you're on the same team and you're in it together. That would be my advice, and to go up against every opposition from that team standpoint. That would be mine. Okay, this one's a lighthearted one because phew, this is a heavy Q&A.
He really wanted to know our life.
The next one says, so you're gonna answer for me and I'm gonna answer for you. What is my favorite kind of music and my favorite snack?
Country music and a protein bar.
True. That's my favorite healthy snack. His favorite kind of music is so hard to nail down.
I don't have one.
Because he loves every kind of music. Like, he listens to everything. But I would say, like,
myself?
No, but I would say if you had to choose like a genre, it would be like classic, like 70s, not like classic rock, but like, what's that called?
Like singer-songwriter, like 60s and 70s. I mean, that's consistently always good.
Yeah. And he knows like every word.
Yeah.
And his favorite
They're
snack.
easy to understand.
His favorite snack would probably also be a protein bar or a protein shake or a rice cake with peanut butter.
Yeah.
Those are our healthy ones. We have unhealthy ones too. Let's see. I'm filtering through them. We've already answered how we keep the magic alive. We've answered how we handle fights. We answered how do we resolve disagreements. Okay, this one. Has my husband always left the job out of the home? Her husband struggles with that. No.
No. Not my job.
It depends on what kind of line of work your husband is in, and I've kind of started sharing a little bit more about it. So do you care?
Okay.
He's in law enforcement, and there's just no way to leave all of that at work. There's no way. And when you're a law enforcement wife, that you have to be able to like, you need them to come home and talk, because sometimes they see crazy stuff, or they're in really stressful situations, and like there's been classes and different things and research that is like proven that if you're married to someone in law enforcement and they don't come home and like talk to you about things, that they're not doing well. And so he's pretty good about trying to be cognizant of not bringing his work home with him, but sometimes it just does. And that's also part of the reason why we homeschool, because when you have a job like that, it is the life of your whole family. It's not like you're just go to work and do your 9 to 5 and then leave. It infiltrates. It changes who you are. Like, it changes the way we live. We're very, very, very aware of all of the bad things. And so sometimes I wish I was naive and could like go for a jog outside and not have to like, think about all the things that I think about because of him, but it's just the way we are. So you probably
didn't give her the answer she wanted.
Well, I'm just letting you know that we struggle with that too. Working out is hands down like the #1 thing he does to decompress. And so me making sure, even though like I want him to come home or I've had a long day and I need help or whatever it is, like I'll do whatever I can to make sure that he still gets that time. And then just checking in throughout the day, I think helps, because if anything crazy happens, he can kind of talk about it the way like through the day versus the stress mounting and then it all like coming out at one time.
But maybe if he's bringing it, like if he's not a similar job, like maybe I like strict guidelines of like, I'm not checking my work email during dinner,
Yeah.
or before bed, or like if he takes a lot of phone calls, like have a strict boundary at work, like, hey, tell your troops, like, don't call me after 7. Like that's family time,
So that is really it for this Q&A, guys. We answered so many questions. I hope it helped you see more inside of our relationship and marriage. If you guys have any more questions for us, post them down in the comments below. And if any of you guys are going through a difficult season of marriage, I just want to encourage you to cling on to the commitment you made to one another, and remember that God loves your spouse as much as he loves you. And sometimes when you're really upset with someone, it's hard to see that, but it's true. And that has helped me see past a lot of different things when I keep that in the forefront of my mind. And I also want to remind you guys to be sure to check out Skillshare. Down below in the description box, there is a link there for you guys to get 2 months free. And if you are struggling with feeling like your own person inside of your marriage, doing little things like that can really, really help. And there's even things you could do as a couple on there as well. So if you've got little kiddos and you can't leave and go out on a date night, you can do something like that at home. It just takes intentionality. So I really think you guys should check them out. So thank you guys so much for all of your questions. We hope you enjoyed this long Q&A, and I'll see you in my next video really soon. Bye, guys.